Hello, and welcome to NPUK Podcast number 18, part 2, or 2 as we call it over here. The Direct happened. We're all very excited. We have a date, we have software, we have hardware, and a lot of other little bits and pieces which we're all also getting very excited about. So, once again, we got Penny over here.
Hello.
And Leon is here as well.
Hello.
Right, so Switch 2, 5th of June.
Yeah, sooner than I expected. I thought about 3 months, but 2 months, I'll take it.
A lot sooner, yes.
I was sort of expecting around summertime because just looking back at the Switch 1 release, it was sort of similar with the time periods between the announcements. So you had your main announcements, the primary announcement reveal a few months prior, then you had the big reveal, and then you have the hands-on events, and then a couple months later you've got the release. So it's sort of similar-ish timelines to the Switch 1. So
yeah, I wasn't
expecting it that early though.
Yeah, the thing I was expecting was the thing that occurred to me was that it's an ideal time to do it, to basically get consoles in the hands of all the Nintendo fans who'll just buy one anyway, and 6 months to bed in before the Christmas season when families are going to be buying Nintendo Switch 2s. And if there's hype, and if there's people going, hey, it's great, and if people are playing the games and things have bedded in, and people are talking about it, then and also, like I said, Nintendo are usually pretty good about supply for this sort of thing, but it means that they can get the initial wave of, like I say, people like us buying them, and then have an idea of how many maybe they need to get in stock for Christmas. So halfway around the year, I think, is the best thing to do.
I think it's good with the pre-orders, what they're doing at the moment. So I'm assuming some of this is assumption, some of it is fact. It's just from what I can assume from what Nintendo what information Nintendo have provided. But at the moment, what I'm going to call Phase 1 pre-orders is limited to only Nintendo Switch Online users who have been a subscriber for 2 years plus concurrently, and also if you have reached a certain threshold for playtime, and a bunch of other attributes, which means that you could potentially get invited to do the pre-order. I think that is a good way to sort of stop, because I remember a few months ago something about anti-scalping techniques were going to be looked into for the Nintendo Switch 2 release. So I think that's a good way to sort of focus on the most dedicated Nintendo Switch users, and then sort of just gradually open out. I think on the American site it says something about once a certain number of eligible users have been invited, then it will be sort of a lottery system or something like that. Sort of similar to what they do in Japan, just regularly.
Yeah, the thing I'm not sure about is because I'm part of a family group, and only one person from the family group will get the email. So we don't know if they're going to be able to buy more than one.
I think Nintendo, or at least for what it seems that they primarily think of family memberships for literally one household family sort of thing, rather than people sharing. Obviously, that is a good way to save money, but I think that's what Nintendo's mainly thinking for that.
Yeah, but even that, I want one and my spouse wants one. So, I know a lot of people have friends on their family group, and there's nothing to stop you. But even in one family, if you've got 3 kids and they've all got a Switch, and you're only allowed to buy one, and they're all going to be fighting over it, it's obviously, I don't think any of us are going to be able to afford 3 Switches, but for those of us who have been putting money away for one, it does look like a lot of the high the high street retailers are expecting to have stock. Some of them are putting some quite ridiculous markups on it, but that's another consideration. But we're waiting to see. But if we get one between us, that will be fine. But I'll be disappointed because we will be fighting over it like children, probably.
That's understandable. Although there will be features that may at least mean that you can still experience the games with their game share.
In reality,
more about that
in
later.
reality, we will be playing Mario Kart with all of us. There's 3 of us in the house, and we will all be playing Mario Kart on the 5th of June. I can tell you that for nothing.
Not just Mario Kart, but Mario Kart World.
Oh. Yeah, that. I suppose we should get on to the game reveals as well.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon Mario, hell yeah. Yes. I'm all over that.
Honestly,
open world Mario Kart,
Honestly, Mario Kart World, what they've done with the free drive feature is something that I've wanted in Mario Kart for ages. I remember as a kid, I didn't have many friends to invite over as a kid too much. So I'd be on the N64 and I'd just poddle along. Is poddle even a word? I'm going to use it anyway. I'd poddle along on coined by Leon from NPUK. Poddle along in time trials on Mario Kart 64, and it would come up with Lakitu with the turnaround sign, but he wouldn't pick you up. So I'd just explore the whole each of the maps in detail and stuff. So the fact that's going to be an official feature, I'm super excited about.
Oh, I did that when the Animal Crossing course came out. I basically went round really slowly, just looking at all the Easter eggs, just going, "Oh, look, you can see Mabel up there," or something like that. I can't remember now. But so just to be able to explore the worlds, because they're always really detailed, and you always see them at super high speed. So it'd be nice to actually just explore it.
And it's a shame that Lakitu just plucks you when you're going off course so quickly now, because then you can't really explore it. But now you can.
Well, also from the point of view of people who are, Andrew and I both know people who are very good at Mario Kart and very into their Mario Kart, to be able to look for shortcuts and just walk the course basically, and just explore it and go, you can go down here. Oh, that's cool. I'll give that a try next time I'm racing.
I kind of hope that maybe there'll be sort of little challenges placed around and little secrets that you can find, which is exclusive to the free drive mode. I'm just thinking, so obviously you've got Diddy Kong Racing, which does have a bit of that, where you've got this hub world which you can drive around, you can find little secrets, you can even find a secret track or two, I believe. And I was also thinking as well, Wii Sports Resort, you've got the flying mode, and you can explore Woohoo Island, and then you've got these information points dotted about, which just gives you a bit of story behind this lovely resort. We need to go back to Woohoo Island, by the way. Nintendo, bring us back there. It's coming up to summer.
Go Vacation is a very good example of that. And I've during lockdown, I played Go Vacation to basically go on holiday, pretty much. So it's got a similar thing. You can go around and do, look for Easter eggs and collectibles and things like that. It's good fun. There's lots of clothes in it and new characters, new types of bikes and jet skis and all sorts of things. So there seems to be a lot of customizing options.
Yeah, we got the cow from the Moo Moo Farm as a character now, which I see a lot of people
grinding.
Yes,
grinding cow. Not the laughing cow, it's the grinding cow.
I do love that Nintendo just can come up with the most balmy character for one of their beloved games, and people will just fawn over it.
Yeah.
Although I can't remember, is there much of a Piranha Plant following from Smash Brothers? Because that was just out there as well.
Or PC,
yeah.
Well, there was a amiibo about the Piranha Plant, and another thing that was announced, amiibo are still a thing with the Switch 2.
Yeah, because it was it one of the fighting games. Oh, there was so much in that direct. I've forgotten what. No, it was sort of Street Fighter or something. Yeah, Street Fighter.
Oh, that's it. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for that, being a big Street Fighter fan myself. So, plus I know Mark from Nintendo UK themselves, they're a huge fighting games fan, so they're catered for.
Well, it would make sense that Amiibo support would still be in there, because I was looking at the video, and in the backwards compatible games, Animal Crossing was there, and there was, of course, there's all the Amiibo cards for Animal Crossing. So it would make sense that, and you know, if they're saying, I think they're saying a lot of indie games they're testing them basically, like people do with the Steam Deck, and there are some which they're working on. I think the only one I've played that was in the list I saw was Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, which has got an amazing soundtrack. I I love that soundtrack. But it says, I think the list says something like, we are aware and we're working on this or something. So it looks like they want just about every game that was available for Switch to be compatible with Switch 2, but some of them are needing a bit of fettling and a bit of fixing. So
in typical Nintendo fashion, they're not giving away everything of why certain games aren't going to work. Obviously, we know why Labo won't work, because Joy-Cons they used aren't.
Yeah, and also it wouldn't fit in the console, would it? So
exactly,
the console's too big. So, and also I assume Ring Fit, because it won't work with the Ring unless you can get some sort of like adapter, unless they do like a magnetic ring rather than a sliding ring.
I mean, it says that it is playable on Switch 2. You just need to connect a Joy-Con 1, which is a point.
Oh, I see. Yes.
I am happy that Nintendo have more or less revealed that the majority of controllers for the Switch 1 can be used in conjunction with the Switch 2.
Yeah, as long as you use them wirelessly, yeah. I hadn't thought of that. That would be really good for, like, if you've got like 8 buddies around to play Mario Kart when it's, Mario Kart World, when it's just come out. You can get, everyone can bring their Joy-Cons, and you don't have to go, everyone's going to have to fight over the 2 Joy-Cons that we have. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that.
So, speaking of the console itself, 4K graphics. I mean, not on the actual tablet part itself. In fact, that has a bit of an upgrade.
I'm claiming that as a hit from predictions last time.
Yes.
Because I said I thought it'd be 4K docked, and that the dock would be like a external graphics card. And it's got a fan in it.
Yeah.
And it's 4K when it's docked. I think it's, from what I understand, it's 4K 60 FPS when it's docked. But when it's handheld, it's 1080p and will go up to 120 for games that support it.
Which is a ridiculous number, but, not ridiculous number, it's twice the standard that we have already, but it's going to be buttery smooth.
I get the feeling that it's like the hardware they're getting. I mean, Nintendo probably don't get like off the peg hardware, but it's probably that they went to one of the big manufacturers and said, AMD or Intel or whoever made what the gubbins inside it is, and they said this chip will do up to 120 FPS, and Nintendo have gone, well, we don't need that, but we might as well make a thing about it, because if the chip will do it, then let's say, look, it will do it. We're putting quite a bit under the bonnet now.
I'm pretty sure they've published that the GPU is a custom-made card from NVIDIA.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think from the tech specs.
Well, it's basically...
it probably would be custom, wouldn't it? There must be a big supplier. Well, they must... Nintendo, if you're supplying Nintendo for all the Switches in the world, that's going to be a big order.
Well, the original Switch, that was NVIDIA Tegra processor. So basically, NVIDIA's come out and said, well, we've built it, we've let Nintendo have it, and Nintendo have blown it out the water, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, we were saying when we were watching it that because there was this floodgate of games that clearly developers were itching to put on the Switch, but the Switch wouldn't cope with it. Like, so it's Elden Ring, Cyberpunk, the full Hogwarts Legacy. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones.
Hitman: World of Assassination.
Yeah, Hitman, all that sort of stuff. So they've obviously gone, great, this console will support this now, and it's elevated the Switch 2 to being what I'd call maybe like a last gen console for not handheld. So it's like a PS4, Xbox One level, a docked, but it's portable.
Yeah.
So it will cope with the games from the last gen of home consoles, like plugging into the TV, but you can put it in your pocket and take it on holiday, which is exactly what you want from a Switch, I think, really. It's just, it plays games from, it'll play current games as long as they're not too demanding, and like games from a few years ago perfectly well. And you can take it on holiday. Like I say, I think that's the niche that people want from a Nintendo, I think.
Well, let's not beat around the bush. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that wasn't the greatest optimized Switch game. Whereas they're bringing a free update to the Switch 2, and that could possibly make it the game that that Game Freak wanted it to be. And
yeah, there's a few games that have been. I mean, No Man's Sky pops into my head because I enjoyed No Man's Sky on the Switch, but you had to forgive it for the fact that you'd land on your planet and it'd take a while for all the buildings to pop in.
Yes.
And I mean, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, there's a lot of time. You go, my building's just appeared. You could see it was struggling. And it would be nice to just have things not struggle.
Well, it reminds me of Mortal Kombat 1. It took forever to get the fights up and running because it was loading a lot all in one go. But now it's got the horsepower. Who knows what's going to come out of the pop on the screen.
Hopefully cloud editions are a thing of the past now.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that struck me about that is the big onboard memory. So lots of space for digital games, because if you're getting games like Elden Ring or something on it, you will need, I mean, games like that, they're like 50, 60 gigs sometimes, aren't they?
I'm curious how big Elden Ring is going to be for Nintendo Switch, actually. If they can get some of that Nintendo compression magic.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I think a lot of the time, a lot of the bigness of games, should we say, especially like PC games, is because it has to take into account the wildly varying like process and GPUs and everything that people have. Whereas the Switch 2, you know exactly what it's got. It's everyone will be exactly the same. So it should be easier to program for, really.
Also, probably a lot of the bulk is as well, like the high definition, hyper realistic textures. Because with Call of Duty, for example, I can't remember exactly the file size, but I'm pretty sure it's with Call of Duty. You can get you can download like the texture packs for it, I think. Actually, I'll use an easier one. Resident Evil.
Yes.
Has like you have that option of downloading the high res texture pack.
I suppose
so that'll be bigger.
Yeah, I wonder because the upgrades sort of as well. There's the games that will have upgrades, and my understanding is that if you have, it's like the Animal Crossing DLC, that if you have online, you will just get that for no extra cost. Whereas if you don't have online, you have to buy it as like a DLC.
I think upgrade. What it is with, you're talking about the upgrade packs, yeah? Yeah,
so it's like, the high res
I think they're just being selective on, for one, I think you have to have the expansion pack pass, not just the base one, but the expansion one. And at the moment, I believe they've only just announced Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. You'll get as part of the subscription. That's what is listed.
And the Jamboree TV, I think.
Switch. No, that one I don't think you'll get.
No,
the upgrade pack for free with it.
Okay, I don't know. We'll
at the moment,
out.
just Zelda. That could change though. They could announce more later on. I think personally, to add further value to the subscription pass, depending on how many they do, because they might just do a few upgrade packs for a few games rather than a big amount of games. So if they aren't doing that many upgrade packs, then just have them all on the expansion pass. I don't mind even if they, and people are probably going to hate me for this, especially if it comes true, but I wouldn't even mind paying an extra £5 in the on my subscription if it means that I can get all the upgrade packs for free.
Yeah. Well, also it's
at no additional cost.
Like I said, I'll start again. The expansion pack thing it's basically turning into like Nintendo Retro Game Pass, because it's got GameCube now as well.
Yes.
Which is going to be really. I can't wait to see what they put on that. I mean, was it F-Zero GX? Was it?
Yes. Yeah.
One of the F-Zeros. Make another F-Zero, you cowards.
I mean, I find it funny that they are just putting scalpers to shame, because there's a bunch of GameCube games which go for try not to swear. An extortionate amount, and like a couple of those have been announced to be coming to the GameCube Online app. So just gesture to the scalpers there for you.
Yeah. The GameCube games in recent, I'll say the past year or two, they've been rocketing up in price, especially Thousand Year Door. I mean, yes, we have it on Switch now, but yeah, it is pretty much the pride of my collection, because the actual GameCube version is going upwards of £150. So yeah, it's I think it's the only game in my collection that I've got when it was like really cheap. In fact, I can remember when I bought it. It was when the Wii had first come out, and my local game station, which was still a game station.
Those are the days.
Yeah, were sending off.
I've still got my game station card somewhere.
Yeah, they're sending off the games for like 2 for £20. So I got Sunshine and 1000 Year Door for £20. And
nice.
That's the biggest profit I've made so far.
There are two. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking like what could be coming to GameCube eventually, because we noticed that there was no Smash, there was no Smash Melee, so to say, no Super Mario Sunshine. And
no, there is. That's on the like. It's not launching with it, but it is going to be added later on down the line.
Yeah, it was on the little sort of marquee that came by with it.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I didn't see. I'd like to see the first Animal Crossing, just for interest. I mean, it's changed a lot since those days, but it'd be nice to give it a go.
Well, it doesn't need to do too much, because the licenses for the NES games are already there. So.
Yeah.
I do have two observations about the GameCube Online app. So the first one, obviously the GameCube, that had analog controllers. The Nintendo Switch one has digital controllers, and from they haven't announced it specifically yet, but I think it's safe to assume that the Switch 2 will also have digital triggers. And I was just wondering, because there's a few games that do use sort of the analogness of the triggers. So, for example, in Super Mario Sunshine, there's like, if you just hold it down lightly, you can spray and move. If you hold it down, you're locked into place, but you can properly aim where you're spraying. So how, like, I know there's the GameCube controller that's coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2, which I believe is will retail for about £75, so quite expensive. But I think it might be a bit less than that. But anyway, maybe something like that. But I'm just wondering, is there going to be a solution to accessing that control scheme for people who do not have the GameCube controller? So are they going to do something similar to Super Mario 3D All-Stars, where they had it so the ZR was to spray, and then R is to aim.
Well,
to lock down and aim.
They might have variable triggers though. The Switch team might have, variable, triggers where you can do, a different, something will do something according to. I'm trying to get my head around it. But
sort of
if you press it hard, you press it quickly, then there are triggers that do that, and I think the PlayStation 5 springs to mind. Or that I don't know what the proper term for it is, but you can squeeze it slow, or you can
adaptive triggers.
Adaptive triggers, there you go. So maybe the Switch.
I think there was a rumor that the Switch 1 was going to have them at one point. So maybe that's something they abandoned and will potentially. Here we go. I'm just looking at the tech specs now. It just says up, down, left, right, L, ZL, SL, SR buttons. Doesn't actually talk about ZR or ZL on there, which is quite interesting, actually. Now that I think about it, because
it did have the button.
Why would they?
GameCube as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe it's.
Curious. Oh wait. No, never mind. Although it does say Z, it just says in a asterisk thing at the bottom, the maximum thickness from the tip of the control sticks to the protruding parts of the ZL, ZR buttons is 1.2 inches. It's calling it buttons, not triggers, so
yeah, that's...
take that information as you will. But the other point that I was going to make, which I am quickly forgetting, but just remembered, there we go. I'm quite surprised there's a lack of Metroid Prime 1 and 2 on there. Because with Metroid Prime 4 coming out later this year, you'd think maybe it's like let newcomers play these older games. But obviously Switch 1 had Prime 1 remastered.
Well,
could we potentially be getting 2 and 3 remastered?
Well, Nintendo, as we know, love to do and it's available on the eShop now announcement. So I think they do that nearer to Prime coming out, because Prime's not coming out till next year.
This year.
That right? Oh, this year. But it's Christmas Day. It's holiday, isn't it?
Still no date quite yet. Just 2025.
Yeah. So I think it will be at the end of the year, and they will sneak launch the old Metroids, maybe.
To be fair, Prime 1 Remastered was a shadow drop.
Yeah, I was about to say, wasn't it just like, we got the physical version coming out later, but you can have the digital today.
Yeah, they do love to shadow drop. Nintendo, they really do.
I do often wonder how many games have Nintendo actually finished and are just waiting for the Prime time to release them. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's one of the good things about Nintendo is they don't announce anything unless it's ready to go. I mean, there must be, cargo ships full of Nintendo Switches sailing around the world as we speak.
I have no doubt that
arrived. I
have no doubt in my mind. I don't know anything in particular, but I think it's believable that there are probably a bunch of retail units already in the United Kingdom. There definitely are in the US, because there, I believe, or at least people were talking about it, and they're saying that they're probably testing out the logistics of sending them and stuff. But I wouldn't put it past them that they're already in the country, ready to go out once on release, so that there's very little delay.
Yeah. I'm just looking down my list of things. What do we think on the chat? Little sort of Nintendo Discord.
Yeah, as I was
We speak
notes,
2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to do not so much a live blog of what was happening in the directs, but I actually wrote game chat, literally a Discord. I didn't use the word rip off, but Nintendo's version of Discord. I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Discord.
It's not a bad thing. It's one of those things that they're kind of a bit late to the party, but we all know that Nintendo are very cautious about social media and,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want like Call of Duty voice chat, basically.
No.
We don't. But it's not. I imagine amongst families, especially families where they're kind of far flung. I mean, my brother-in-law lives in America, and so we could play games with him, and we can just voice chat. That'd be really good. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it was like a selling point for me, but it's cool.
It's nice
I might use it. Yeah. So nice to have. Yeah.
I'm quite interested to know how the microphone works, because they're promising that you can have it quite a distance away from you, like even underneath your TV, and it will still just pick up your own voice. Like
It's like an Alexa, though,
Yeah.
Depending how good the quality of audio is from picking that up, to me, that would be quite impressive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
There was two things I did notice in the actual video itself. They did show a choppy version of what's being broadcast from the Switch 2.
Yeah, it was kind of laggy, but I admire
I mean, at least they're not lying.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was going to say. They've said don't expect like broadcast quality, but you can, you can keep in touch with your friends. They're being honest about it, and I like that. I do honestly like that.
That's obviously what I thought, to say that's fair. I mean, like, you're showing not so much that you would like to have like buttery smooth 1080p to every single Switch 2 across the world. And I mean, yes, it is achievable if everyone has like gigabit internet, but not everyone has a gigabit internet.
Yeah.
UK is only just starting to catch up.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was like I was saying last time, though. People don't buy a Nintendo Switch for high performance. They buy it for taking, we go and visit Granny for Christmas and everyone wants to play Mario Kart with the kids, then you just put it in your pocket and you go. And it's good for that. And so it's anything like this is like, if it's a bit sort of lo-fi, basically, that's fine.
Yes.
Because if we want to play full on, like you say, if we want to play full on 4K Call of Duty, we do that on the big PC. We don't do it on the Switch. But it's nice to have it. The camera actually was kind of weirdly retro. It looked like an old microphone. I quite liked it, but it's a bit big.
Well, 24 hours after the Switch, the Direct, Hori, who make many accessories for various consoles, but have been partners with Nintendo for quite a long time, they've actually made a piranha plant camera, and I am getting one.
All that.
Oh, does it stick in the USB-C at the top?
It does.
Oh, that's so cool.
From what I hear, it is any USB-C like camera will work with the Switch 2. It's just that Nintendo have made their own, so they're obviously going to market it their own.
Yeah.
But
so you could
I do think it's one really cute fact I like about the piranha plant camera. So you know how some webcams have that privacy shutter? So it looks like the piranha plant webcam does have a privacy shutter, but you just close the
close its mouth.
piranha plant.
Oh, that's
close its mouth, close its yap.
I know. Well,
Which
it's
I think
one of
is
those
cute
things
extra.
that I have a phobia of like webcams, and I think and pictures with eyes. I don't like being watched by things, basically. So the fact that it's a removable camera, I actually really like, because I do kind of I don't like like if a laptop's got like a webcam built into it, I have to close it down if I'm not using it because it's watching me and it freaks me out. I mean, it's a phobia. It's rubbish basically, but the fact that I'll be able to unplug the camera and I'll be able to unplug the camera and put it in a drawer and forget about it, and that's nice. So, what else was there? Micro SD Express, fine, unexpected, understandable, I think. Yeah, to be honest.
Considering it's like huge games. Well, obviously the games have to take a bit more processing power and storage. The technology has to move on a tiny bit.
So I know people were a bit angry about the fact that you can't use regular micro SD cards other than for video and photos. But in my mind, I think Nintendo have kind of already explained why without directly acknowledging it. And I think, or at least it sounds like, the Nintendo Switch 2 requires certain speeds to be able to play its games. And that's obviously something that older micro SD cards, non-express ones, won't be able to meet. So that would obviously have drastic impact on performance and stuff like that with their games. So they're just nipping it in the bud, being like, okay, you can only load games onto your system using micro SD Express cards if you want to download them externally.
If you think about it,
it's 256 gigs now though, so
well, if you think about it, it's like I'd say current generation consoles like the Xbox One and Xbox Series S and X and the PS5. I mean, you can plug a USB hard drive into those, but they won't load the actual game, like current gen games, because the speed isn't there. So it's understandable.
It's SSD only basically. So and
I was actually rather pleased that was announced, because a certain large online retailer was selling 2 terabyte micro SD cards, and I always pulled the trigger on that, and thankfully I didn't. But at the moment, this is making me chuckle a tiny bit, because I think this is actually the first time it's actually happened. The Mario Mushroom SD card Express that's going to be available from April, well, mid-April onwards, is actually cheaper than SanDisk's own micro SD Express cards. So,
and then Nintendo's subsidising it, maybe.
Yeah, that's quite surprising. I mean, it'll be just 256 gigs, but at the moment, if we're just using it for, starting out, obviously the prices of the micro SD Express cards will tumble in price. So it makes sense to do it like that. So
what else did I have? Bigger buttons. Good. You know, the sort of recessed buttons when you take the Joy-Cons off. That's good. The mouse controls, interesting.
I
was looking at some of the gameplay from Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Nintendo Switch 2 edition on the Nintendo Treehouse Live, and it looks quite cool how you use it, because you can freely change between mouse controls and dual Joy-Con controls, which is quite cool. Like, so you can use the stick, or it looks like you can use the stick to get a rough point of where your reticle's gonna go, and then you can just use the mouse control for fine adjustments, which I think is really cool. Like I can imagine Splatoon 4, assuming there's going to be a Splatoon 4, is going to make use of that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I can't remember what game it is, but it's one of the things like Call of Duty or something like that, where there's a mobile game, but Tencent actually have a PC version of it, And so everyone plays with mouse and keyboard on PC and utterly owns anyone who's actually playing this mobile game on a mobile.
It's very much.
That's why for cross-platform play, you have the option for players to restrict being matched with certain inputs.
Yeah, basically, because if you've got mouse keyboard. But my point being is that having the ability to play games. I mean, Akami 2 is coming out at some point. Having a mouse input will be really useful. And I can imagine Civ 7 was announced, and that would be good. Being able to play it with like mouse.
I was actually thinking that like any simulation games such as City Skylines, Roller Coaster Tycoon, or the more recent, better version, Planet Coaster.
Yeah.
So like that opens up a realms of possibility for console gaming for those sort of games.
Yeah, I don't think Frontier have ever released anything for Switch though. I mean, going way, way, way back, Elite came out for the NES, and that's way back. But I don't think any of their recent stuff.
Did they contribute to Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 at all? As in the Switch edition?
I don't think so. Wasn't that for Axis? I could be wrong.
Maybe. I can't remember.
Hang on.
I can't think.
I will Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they do Planet Coaster, but I don't think they do Roller Coaster Tycoon.
No, I'm pretty sure Frontier have done the RTC series as well.
So what was on Switch? The Roller Coaster Tycoon.
So there's a Switch version of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. In fact, there's Roller Coaster Tycoon Classic coming out.
I think it's
come out already.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just come out. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'll just be surprised if they're doing Planet Coaster if they're doing Roller. Oh, you're right. It was Frontier.
Because I think
Atari.
I think people left from the company.
Yeah.
Because I remember trying out Roller Coaster Tycoon World, which came out around the time of Planet Coaster, and it wasn't great.
I'm just reading.
It wasn't necessarily bad, but not great.
It may not make it to the podcast, but I was just reading this wonderfully sarcastic paragraph from the wiki. In 2016, publisher Atari continued with the series with its fourth main installment, Roller Coaster Tycoon World, to largely negative reception. The same year, Frontier developed and released Planet Coaster, a spiritual successor to Roller Coaster's Tycoon series, which received considerably better reviews.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's probably like the whole sort of story of seasons, Harvest Moon.
I was just thinking that actually.
Yeah,
because there's one on the Switch, and it was horrible. Like literally, you'd walk up and half the screen wouldn't be loaded in yet. And it's like, how did this get past QA?
Don't buy anything called Harvest Moon anymore, I'm afraid. No. Right.
Deviating.
Well, yeah, I know, but you can cut that out. I was just interested. Looking through my list.
There was something we didn't get right. Well, I say we didn't get right. I'm going to squarely put this on myself. 2 screens, because the the USB slot on top. I mean, like, it could happen down the line.
Yeah, I was about to say it's not out of the question. It would be interesting to see what happens. I suppose if you plug, I mean, it's like now you can plug a external monitor into a switch and it reckons it's docked. Yeah. Basically, and it just switches off. But you could 2-screen it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just thought the thought popped into my head. Let the people recover from like the price of the console and all the accessories, and then release the second screen.
That's a point. Price. Yeah. What do we think?
Understandable, I think.
Yeah. All things
you're getting a lot.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot. I mean, you're getting something with quite a lot under the bonnet for a reasonable price in this economy. Basically, the games are a bit steeper than I'd like, but
I think that's a hard pill to swallow for most new console releases. Because we've been lucky where games have relatively stayed stable in pricing for the last generation or so. And when it's been like that for so long, then I think a price hike is inevitable. But like I was saying, with most console releases, that's always a big factor which gets lots of complaint, and it's just unfortunate that Nintendo's taking, well, not unfortunate, but just, Nintendo's now taking the backlash instead of PlayStation or Xbox. But one thing I will say though, if you are dead set on getting Mario Kart World, do yourself a favour, get the bundle.
Yep.
Get the bundle, and you're paying half the price for the game.
They want everyone playing. They want everyone playing Mario Kart, which is
I wouldn't be surprised, because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has more or less been. I'm pretty sure it's the best-selling Nintendo Switch game. So they just want to carry on that tradition. And what's a better way than well, it'd be helpful if they lumped it in for free, but we can't want we can't get everything we want now, can we? But just give everyone a good deal on Mario. That will definitely sell like hotcakes. I suppose one good reason why, one good thing for why it's releasing in the summer as well is it also gives families time to save up for the damn thing. Ready for Christmas. Well,
also, I mean, the Nintendo games are going to be expensive, but the indies and the third parties are probably going to be a similar price point to they are now. The only thing I was thinking was that it might be to do with the cart, because the cart is basically it's going to be like a micro SD card express in there, isn't it? So that's going to be if their cart, the workings inside it is bigger and faster than the Switch 1 carts, then there's going to be a rising cost for that.
I do appreciate that the digital games are a bit cheaper than the physical games, because that should have always been the case. It's never been the case. But maybe Nintendo will start a precedent with that, and other companies will charge less for digital. As they should. I'll still go for physical, because I prefer the physicalness of it. Plus, I actually own the game; it won't be taken away from me randomly at the developer's whim. But one thing I wanted to quickly go on to, which I am completely surprised I got this one right. It was a pipe dream. It was like, they'll probably not do this, but they've just gone and done it. They've revitalized download play. Literally. One of the best features from the DS era, like I remember, I probably said this last week as well, but I remember in the playground just bringing the DS, and we played Mario Kart together. We just have one copy of it, and now apparently you can do this online as well through game chat, and that's amazing. Like, obviously, don't know the full restrictions of it yet. It might just be for family members or something. I hope it's not. Maybe you can do it with friends and stuff. And obviously the version that they get temporarily will be a watered down version, but I don't care if that means that only one person has to have the game and everyone can play it on their own consoles.
I mean,
that's fantastic. It makes the price a bit more, not justifiable, but more palatable.
I mean, have you ever played RPG Maker?
No, but it's something I would look into.
You get the RPG Maker for like creating the games, and then there's a separate free download for just playing games that other people have made. So cool. There's like and I think, it like the Steam
reminds me of WarioWare DIY.
Yeah. Oh, is it? It's either Split Fiction or It Takes Two or something like that, where you get like a kind of a free download for a friend. Yeah. So I should imagine it'll be like that, because that's my one concern with this sort of new version of download play, is if a game is really big, like say it is Mario Kart World, which is going to be big, and you're trying to get 5 different people to download it all at once off your Switch, it would take forever. So
it depends how the wireless communication works, because you could even update a friend's game through local wireless. the Switch.
Yeah, I do wonder if it might be more like local cloud gaming. So, like, it's streaming from the main.
Maybe that would be
one?
interesting.
So that it's only. I mean, yeah, it's just a thought maybe, but it could be.
That's what the N64 is on the Switch Online apps. Basically, it is a cloud version, and yeah, basically all log in at the same time.
Yeah.
What?
But you'd have to be always online then. So, but we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I did have some. There were some OMG moments from some of the games that were announced as well.
Yeah.
Deltarune, all of Deltarune.
Yeah.
Finally. When Donkey Kong appeared, I thought you would be excited.
Yes, a little bit.
Just a little bit.
That was so unexpected, but I love it. Like, I've been wanting a new 3D Donkey Kong game ever since I first played Donkey Kong 64, and we're finally getting it, and I'm really excited. I do notice they have brought back the line, "Ooh, banana."
Mm-hmm.
And for a moment, I thought it was maybe Grant Kirkhope come back to voice Donkey Kong just for that line. But unfortunately, it has been confirmed that Grant Kirkhope will not be voicing it. Not been voicing it, but maybe him or David Wise have been involved in the music. Maybe one can only hope. I do love their music. Please bring them back.
And I think,
I was.
Go on.
I was just saying, I was a bit. Continue talking about Donkey Kong, because I was going to talk about Kirby Air Riders and how I was like, meh.
I was just about to build up
I
to
thought
that,
it was going to be Smash. I thought it was going to be Smash. Because when like Kirby on a star, and it's like, oh, it's Smash, it's Smash. No, it's
I was
some
saying
game
Smash
I've
as
never heard
well.
of.
I said
Smash
because it's always Kirby that pops up first.
Yeah.
But,
It just, you could sort of feel this palpable disappointment from like everyone, Nintendo fans everywhere going, it's Smash, it's Smash, it's Smash. No, what's this?
But you know what? You know what? I'm glad that Sakurai has been working on something other than Smash, because as much as we love Smash Brothers, heck, I'm not even great at it and I still love it. It does take a toll on him. He's like one of those developers which you can tell is very passionate about the project and will work night and day if he has to, willingly, to do that. And I'm happy that he's able to get hopefully he gets like nice breaks between projects and not just going without any sleep, because that would be horrible work-life balance, crunch times. But I'm happy he can get a break from Smash and do something a bit different.
Yeah, I can see Smash getting an upgrade version though, like a Switch 2 version with like newer characters and stages, newer games that haven't been sort of seen before. So I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's good to see that. Well, as Leon mentioned, Sakurai is back on form, and hopefully, this won't be the last we see him. And anyway, so we got some things right, we got some things wrong.
Yep. Oh, we're getting 2 Point Museum, because I was faulty that 2 Point Museum was not announced for Switch, but I was kind of hoping that it was because they were waiting for the Switch 2, and it was. I need to pre-order it. Well, I hope they did the pre-orders with Sonic the Hedgehog stuff in, like they did for the PC version, because
it's been slated as 2025. No date yet, but at least it's coming.
It's happening, and a new Layton, and so much, and the Duskbloods. We haven't even mentioned that, and a totally new From Software game that's basically Bloodborne 2, isn't it? But there was just so much in that. Yeah, there was so much in that direct.
Is that exclusive to Switch 2?
It is. Yeah.
Well, it might be time exclusive, but at the moment it's exclusive. Yeah.
So I think that's one thing I will say. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a disappointment, but just sort of. But I'll go on with my point anyway. I was surprised with that. I was kind of hoping for a bit more first-party stuff to be announced during the Direct, but the way it's going, it does, well, one, it makes me think that Nintendo still have a lot they're keeping to their chest in terms of new first-party titles coming to the Switch 2. I'm sure we'll get steady announcements as time goes on. But it is nice that they had a huge section for third parties. Like, I think that is, like, obviously everyone knows Nintendo does Nintendo games, which is great. But what people want to know, can this new console play my favourite third-party games like Elden Ring, Hitman World of Assassination, and stuff, and being able to say, yeah, we can do all of this and more, that will definitely help get people on board, because I know people could play them on the PC and their own PS5 or Xbox, but a bit still a huge marketing factor of the Nintendo Switch and now the Nintendo Switch 2 is that you can play these fantastic, brilliant games on the go wherever you like.
Yeah, like I said at the start, it's like Nintendo know what people want from them, and that is games you love wherever you want, whenever you want, on the bus, on the train to work, on holiday, at your nan's for Christmas, you know. And we all understood that it was not a console that could cope with a big AAA game. Now it will be.
I mean, there were some developers that worked wonders, like how they were able to get the new Doom games. Did Doom Eternal come on Nintendo Switch? I can't quite remember. Yeah, it did. Like the fact that they got those games on Switch, because that's fast action games where you need that smoothness. Like the fact that they were able to get it working somewhat decently on the Nintendo Switch is amazing. So just imagine what those porting developers are able to do with the Switch 2. Like even Cyberpunk's on there, and that got some flack for some weird performance issues when that first came out.
Yeah, they've had a few years to iron that out, and you know, now we've got the FPS to deal with it. So I'd say it'll be nice to see, you know, I'd say big games appearing for Switch that wouldn't have been able to before. So we'll await its career with great interest.
It's only just begun.
Yeah, and not long to wait either. Not long.
From the Direct to the actual release date, there's 9 weeks and 2 days. So
well, we were saying that, I mean, Nintendo Basildon meet monthly pretty much. April we're going to Wi-Fi Wars, which is in town, and then there's May, and then the June meet's going to have to be Switch 2, I guess, as long as we can get hold of one. I'm sure we will, but so it's like there's 2 meets.
Yep.
And then it's, so basically we know what we're doing for June meet. It's going to be Mario Kart, and possibly Jamboree TV. I don't know. We'll have to have a chat about that. But it's just that it's, you know, it's not long. It's not long.
You actually raise a good point with Nintendo Players UK as a whole. For anyone tuning in, if you're brand new to NPUK, we are a network of independently run Nintendo communities. So Penny runs Basildon, for example. With
friends, we are.
With friends,
also we are very closely associated with Nintendo Southend and become the mighty Voltron that is Nintendo Essex every now and then when necessary.
Yeah.
And I'm gradually bringing back Nintendo Brighton.
Lovely.
But for anyone who, when it does come out to the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, can't really go into details much yet, just because I don't know the details quite yet. But I am sure there will be a selection of communities which will be happy, which their founders will probably buy themselves a Nintendo Switch 2 on time for release. We're Nintendo fans, so a lot of us will probably. And I'd be on the lookout for the community calendar, because I'm sure there will be plenty of chances to try out the Nintendo Switch 2 after it releases, if you're still humming and ahhing a bit about the decision once it releases.
Yeah,
so keep an eye on the socials.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've always done that in the past. We used to meet in game, and I think I said this last time that we were demoing games for them basically when the Switch came out, and people were coming in going, "Oh, is that new console? What's it like?" So it will be the same for the Switch too, I'm sure. So, and also for people who are sort of umming and ahhing about whether they can afford it or not, it means they can, have a go. And also, and like I said, the games are expensive, and you're not going to want to drop, a lot of money on a game unless you're sure you want it. So if you can play someone else's for a bit and go, yeah, actually, this is, I will get this, or yeah, this isn't really my thing. So just to give it a go is a good thing. So.
Yep. So head on over to www.nintendoplayers.uk, and as Leon said, there's plans for Switch 2 launches across the country. So check out your local group. If there isn't a local group to you, you can more than welcome to make your own. And there's information on that on our website.
Yeah, we're like Leon said, we are all basically independent groups. We all run quite differently. Some groups are very, very big and have a lot of like tournaments and things. Some groups are more sort of small and social. It's the group suits the people that go to it and the venue it's in and the town it's in. We're not sort of told by Nintendo what we must and mustn't do, other than don't be naughty, basically. So we are kind of left to our own devices to how we run things, as long as we're doing it, and using our powers for good. So, it is a great thing to get involved with. And like I say, if you're living in a bit of a sort of Nintendo black hole, and you can, even if you just get two people in a coffee shop, it's still a meet. And that's kind of how we started. We just used to, wander around places and drinking coffee and playing on 3DSs back in those days. So don't think, oh, there isn't that many of us. That's fine. You can still be a Nintendo group and only have a couple of people, and before you know it, you've got loads of them. So get in touch with us if you think you'd like to give it a try.
Right. So I've been Andrew from Nintendo Southend. Penny.
I'm Penny from Nintendo Basildon.
And I'm Leon from Nintendo Brighton. And Donkey Kong's coming back, y'all!
Yeah. I'm in the room with two Donkey Kong nuts.
Yep.
I'm very pleased for you both. I like Donkey Kong, but I'm not quite as I'm the one with the Animal Crossing tattoo. So when Animal Crossing Switch 2 comes, it will come. Yep. It will come. I've got Tomodachi Life next year. Oh, that's something. And Fantasy Life is in May. Ooh, Fantasy Life. Yay. Right. Oh, so many things to get excited for.
Yeah, definitely. Right. See you all later.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.